Ever notice how some people get treated like they matter while you get ignored? Same room, same conversation, completely different reactions. They speak, and everyone listens. You speak, and people talk over you like you're not even there. I used to think respect was random, something certain people just had naturally. Turns out I was completely wrong. Respect follows patterns, actual patterns you can learn and use. And the weirdest part? The things that actually create respect are the opposite of what most people try. Bull? I spent 2 years studying this, watching people who commanded respect without effort, comparing them to people who tried hard but got nothing. What I found changed everything about how I show up in the world. Today, I'm breaking down the real psychology behind respect. The stuff nobody talks about because it sounds too simple to work. But it does work, faster than you'd expect. Most people think respect comes from being impressive, so they try to impress everyone. They talk about their achievements, drop names, show off knowledge, and it backfires every single time because impressive isn't the same as respected. Respected people do something completely different. They make other people feel significant, not through compliments or fake praise, but through genuine attention. When someone talks, respected people listen like that person is the only one in the room. No phone checking, no looking around, no waiting for their turn to speak. Full attention. Your brain picks up on this instantly. When someone gives you complete attention, your subconscious registers them as high status, because only confident people can afford to make others feel important. Insecure people need constant validation, so they're always performing, always trying to be the impressive one. Try this today. Next conversation you have, give that person your complete focus. Watch their eyes, notice their expressions, actually absorb what they're saying instead of planning your response. You'll see their entire energy shift toward you within 30 seconds. But attention alone isn't enough. There's something else happening beneath the surface. Respected people move through the world like they already have permission. They don't ask if it's okay to take up space. They don't apologize for existing. They just operate from a place of assumed belonging. Most people do the opposite without realizing it. They use qualifier words that undermine everything they say. Words like just, maybe, kind of, sort of, I think. Listen to how different these sound. I think maybe we should consider trying this approach versus we should try this approach. Same idea, totally different impact. Those little words signal uncertainty to everyone listening. And when you sound uncertain about your own thoughts, why would anyone else be certain about them? You're teaching people not to take you seriously with every qualified statement. This goes deeper than just words, though. It shows up in how you move. Hesitant people take up minimal space. They make themselves smaller, pull their arms in, lower their heads slightly. It's like they're apologizing for being present. Confident people expand naturally, not aggressively, just comfortably. They use gestures when they talk. They stand with feet shoulder width apart instead of pressed together. They sit without hunching. Their body language says, "I belong here," before they speak a single word. Start noticing this in yourself. Are you making yourself smaller in meetings, in social situations, even when you're alone? Your body language programs your brain. Sit like you're uncertain, and your brain believes you should be uncertain. Expand your posture, and your brain gets the message that you have every right to be exactly where you are. Now here's where it gets interesting. Everything I just described, the attention you give others and the space you claim for yourself, they seem like opposite things. But they're not. They're two sides of the same psychological principle. Respect flows to people who are simultaneously self-assured and other-focused. Self-assured enough to take up space without apology. Other-focused enough to make people feel valued. Most people only have one side. They're either self-centered and confident or humble and invisible. The combination is what creates that magnetic quality you see in naturally respected people. They're present without being dominating. They're confident without being self-absorbed. But there's a third element most people miss entirely, and it's the one that determines whether respect lasts or disappears the moment you leave the room. Consistency. Not the boring kind where you're predictable, but the powerful kind where your standards don't change based on who's watching. Think about people you respect. I guarantee they're the same person in every context. They don't shift their values depending on the crowd. They don't change their standards when it's inconvenient. They draw the same boundaries with everyone. Inconsistent people lose respect fast because nobody knows who they really are. You can't respect someone you can't predict. If they're confident on Monday and apologetic on Tuesday, assertive with some people and passive with others, their respect evaporates. Your brain is constantly asking, can I trust this person's frame? Do they actually believe what they're presenting, or are they performing? The moment someone senses performance, respect dies. This is why trying to act confident fails. People feel the gap between your behavior and your actual state. But when you genuinely believe you deserve to take up space, when you truly value other people's input, when your standards actually matter to you regardless of the audience, there's nothing to detect. It's just who you are. So respect isn't about learning tricks or techniques. It's about becoming someone who naturally exhibits these patterns. Someone who gives real attention because they're secure enough not to need it constantly. Someone who takes up space because they genuinely believe they belong. Someone whose standards don't bend with social pressure. And once you understand this framework, you start seeing it everywhere. The manager everyone listens to, the friend whose opinion carries weight, the person who walks into chaos and somehow calms it just by being present. They're all running the same program, whether they know it or not. The question is whether you're ready to run it too. Because everything changes once you do. The way people listen when you talk, the weight your words carry, the automatic respect that appears without you chasing it. But knowing the framework is just the beginning. There are specific behaviors that either amplify or destroy everything we just covered. Let's start with the most damaging one. Explaining yourself when you don't need to. Watch what happens when someone questions your decision. Most people immediately launch into justification mode. They list reasons, provide evidence, seek approval. Every word of explanation chips away at the respect they just had. Why? Because explanation implies doubt. It signals that your decision requires external validation. People who truly respect themselves simply state their position and stop talking. Not rudely, not dismissively, just clearly. When someone asks why you made a choice, the complete answer can be as simple as, because I decided to. No elaboration, no defense, just ownership. The silence that follows feels uncomfortable at first. Your brain screams at you to fill it with reasoning. Don't. Let them sit with the fact that you don't need their approval. Most will respect the boundary immediately. The ones who push harder are showing you exactly who they are. Here's what nobody mentions about silence. It's not passive. Silence after a clear statement is one of the most active things you can do. It forces the other person to either accept your frame or reveal that they're trying to control you. Either outcome gives you information, but you only get that information if you can tolerate the discomfort of not explaining. Weak people fill every gap with words. Strong people let the gaps exist. Second behavior that kills respect instantly. Changing your standards based on who you're dealing with. You have boundaries with strangers, but let friends cross them. You speak up to people below you in hierarchy, but stay quiet with people above you. You enforce rules with some people, but make exceptions for others. Every inconsistency broadcasts that your standards aren't actually standards. They're suggestions you follow when it's convenient. Real standards don't bend. They're not mean or rigid, but they are consistent. The person who disrespects your time gets the same response whether they're your boss or your neighbor. The behavior that crosses your boundary gets addressed whether it comes from your best friend or a stranger. This consistency does something powerful. It tells everyone around you that your frame is real. It's not a costume you wear in certain situations. It's the actual structure of how you operate. And structures command respect, performances don't. Think about the last time someone violated a boundary and you let it slide because addressing it felt awkward. What message did that send? That your boundaries exist until they're tested. That's not a boundary. That's a preference, and preferences get ignored. Third thing, seeking reassurance after you've already committed. You make a decision, then immediately start polling people. Do you think I did the right thing? Was that okay? Should I have done it differently? Each question broadcasts insecurity. You're asking people to validate a choice you supposedly already made. If you genuinely made the choice, their opinion doesn't matter anymore. It's done. Asking for post-decision reassurance tells everyone you don't trust yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, why should they trust you? Confident people might seek input before deciding. They might ask for perspectives they haven't considered. But once they decide, it's finished. No polling. No second-guessing out loud. No fishing for validation. They own the outcome, whatever it is. This doesn't mean you can't acknowledge mistakes. Admitting you were wrong about something shows strength. But there's a massive difference between I was wrong, here's what I learned, and I'm not sure if I did the right thing. What do you think? One is ownership, the other is dependency. Respect flows toward ownership. It runs from dependency. Fourth behavior, and this one's subtle, tolerating disrespect to avoid conflict. Someone makes a comment that crosses the line. You feel it immediately. That little spike of, that wasn't okay. But you don't say anything because calling it out might create tension. So you laugh it off or pretend you didn't notice. What just happened? You taught that person they can disrespect you without consequences. You also taught yourself that keeping the peace matters more than your dignity. Both lessons are poison. The disrespect will happen again. Your self-respect will erode a little more. And eventually you'll either explode over something minor or become someone who accepts anything. The alternative feels scary, but it's simple. Address it immediately, not aggressively, not emotionally, just clearly. That's not okay with me. Then stop talking. Let them respond. Most people will backtrack instantly because they didn't think you'd actually say something. The few who double down just showed you they don't respect you and never will. Now you have clarity instead of resentment. But you only get that clarity if you're willing to create momentary discomfort. And here's what happens over time when you consistently address disrespect the moment it appears. People stop testing you. They learn that you have real boundaries, not fake ones. The amount of disrespect you encounter drops dramatically because you're not an easy target anymore. None of this requires being aggressive or mean. You're not attacking anyone. You're just refusing to participate in your own disrespect. That refusal, maintained consistently across every context with every person, becomes your reputation. And reputation determines how people treat you before you even open your mouth. So the framework is simple even if execution takes practice. Give genuine attention. Take up appropriate space. Maintain consistent standards. Stop explaining unnecessarily. Address disrespect immediately. The people who do these things naturally are the ones everyone respects. Not because they demand it, because they demonstrate through action that they respect themselves first. And self-respect is contagious. Others catch it from you and reflect it back. That's how you become someone people don't mess with. Not through intimidation or aggression, through the quiet certainty that you know exactly what you're worth and you're not negotiating about it. You don't need permission to start. Pick one behavior from what we covered. Maybe it's removing qualifier words from how you speak. Maybe it's addressing the next disrespectful comment instead of swallowing it. Maybe it's just giving someone your complete attention in the next conversation you have. One behavior executed consistently for a week. That's the entire assignment. Watch what shifts, not just in how people treat you, but in how you see yourself. Because respect from others is just a reflection. The real transformation happens internally when you stop negotiating your worth. Most people spend their whole lives waiting to feel worthy of respect before they claim it. That's backwards. You claim it first through your actions, and the feeling follows. The difference between where you are now and where you want to be isn't some massive overhaul. It's these small, consistent choices compounded over time. Stop explaining when you don't need to. Maintain your standards regardless of who's watching. Take up the space you're entitled to. Do that enough times and something interesting happens. You stop thinking about respect entirely. It just becomes how people naturally respond to you. That's when you know the patterns have integrated, when you're not performing confidence or faking boundaries, when it's just who you are. That version of you already exists. You're just covering it up with behaviors that worked once but don't serve you anymore. Strip those away, and what's left is someone people naturally respect. Someone who respects themselves first and teaches everyone else to follow that lead.